Hey everyone. In this video, I want to talk to you about the importance of not judging your emotions. You see, a lot of problems in our lives stem from us judging our emotions. We have the tendency to label a whole bunch of emotions as being bad and then label a bunch of others as being good. But the problem here is that emotions are very natural. We all experience them. In a way, they're not really bad or good, except we judge them as being that way, and then they have power over us. And another interesting thing is that it's incredibly nuanced. There are actually going to be times where a so-called bad emotion is actually good, and there will be times where a good emotion is actually bad. For instance, let's say, talking about future me, I want to have a family. Let's say I have my family and somebody is threatening my children right in front of me. Now, if I feel angry in that moment, angry, which is normally a bad emotion, it's actually going to be beneficial because it will allow me to defend my children from the threat. But if I feel nothing, which is what you would say is good, well, now I'm not going to have an incentive to protect the people I care about. I'm not getting that stimulus to go and help them. So in that case, you can argue that the anger is very beneficial. And there are going to be many instances in our lives where so-called bad emotions are actually good. And then on the other hand, there can be times where good emotions are bad. For instance, if you always feel happy or content, which are good emotions, you're never going to feel the desire to change your life for the better. Your life could be falling apart in many different aspects, but if you feel good about yourself for some reason, then you're going to have no desire to change those things for the better. A good example of this would be a drug addict who's always experiencing their highs. They're not going to have any desire to change their life when they're high because they're going to be feeling good. So there can be times where good emotions are bad as well. So, getting down to it, you want to train yourself to no longer judge your emotions. And not just because of that nuance, but more so for your own inner peace. You see, like I said before, all of our emotions are very normal. But when we start judging them, we feel horrible when we experience the ones that we don't like as much. Case in point, when you feel sadness after a breakup. This has happened to all of us. We all feel that pain. Now the problem arises when you start labeling that sadness as being bad and you don't enjoy experiencing it. Now I know it can be pretty hard to enjoy experiencing sadness, so I'm not saying you need to do that, but more so you want to get to a place where you simply recognize that your emotions are a form of energy expression in your body. They're literally just your body generating feelings. That's all it is. And once you label them, that's when you give your emotions power over you. Because if you don't label that sadness as being bad, then you're simply going to allow yourself to experience it without any judgment. And when you do that, you allow the emotion to get expressed and then released. And then guess what? It has the added benefit of then you'll feel better afterwards. So this is the important part here. When you don't judge your emotions, they no longer master you. And then getting over a breakup becomes a lot easier because you will allow yourself to just experience that sadness, to just sit in it and recognize that it's just a bodily expression, and then it goes away. But when you start judging it as bad, which a lot of us do, we feel horrible after a breakup, and then we start judging the crap out of it, and we start beating ourselves up for feeling that way as well, which you don't want to do that either. Then what happens is by judging that emotion, we make it linger. We make it stick around because we will then try to ignore it or suppress it or do anything we can to no longer experience it. And that's a huge problem. So just start training yourself to recognize that your emotions are natural and that you don't want to judge them. Just remind yourself as much as possible that they're just a bodily expression. Nothing more, nothing less. Kind of like breathing when you aren't focused on it. Your breathing is very natural. You don't even have to think about it. It's just there. Same with your emotions. So just allow them to be there. Allow yourself to feel them, and then they get released. And it makes your life so much better because you're no longer judging something that's very natural and that you honestly have no control over. You're no longer judging it as being bad. So then it's not going to make you feel as bad as before. Instead, you'll just feel that sadness, but then it gets released and you'll feel peaceful afterwards. So I urge you all to start practicing this and notice how your life changes for the better. Anyway, I hope this video helped you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci!